Welcome back to the JJ's Declutter podcast. I'm Julie,
And I'm Janis.
and today we're tackling something that stops people in their tracks when they're trying to declutter. We're talking about sentimental and heirloom items. Those boxes in your basement that are filled with your parents' belongings, your grandmother's china that you've never used, your children's artwork from 20 years ago. The things that aren't just stuff, they're memories, they're stories, they're connections to people you love.
And here's what makes sentimental items so hard. You can't just apply logic to them. You can't say, well, I haven't used this in a year, so out it goes. Unless you're my husband. Because that's your mother's wedding dress. That's your father's toolbox. That's the quilt your grandmother made. These items carry weight that has nothing to do with their actual usefulness.
But today we're going to talk about two different approaches to sentimental items. We call them the skim and the deep dive because sometimes you just need to do a quick pass to make some breathing room, and sometimes you're ready to really dig in and make intentional decisions about what becomes your legacy and what doesn't.
And we're going to share some wisdom from our Tea and Treasures workshop, where we help people turn their sentimental clutter into intentional legacy. Because here's the truth. Your grandmother's china isn't trash, but it might end up at Goodwill if nobody knows why it matters. The difference between treasure and trash? The story. That's it. That's the secret.
Let's start by talking about why sentimental items are so overwhelming. First, there's the sheer volume. You inherit your parents' stuff, your grandparents' stuff. You've kept your own kids' childhood things, plus your own sentimental items from your life. Before you know it, you have boxes stacked in the basement, the attic, the garage, and you haven't opened some of them in years.
Second, there's the guilt. You feel like you're betraying your mother if you donate her collection. You feel like a bad parent if you don't keep every piece of your children's artwork. You feel like you're erasing history if you let go of your grandmother's things. The guilt is paralyzing, so you just keep everything and feel overwhelmed instead.
Third, there's the confusion. You have boxes labeled mom stuff with no context. You don't know what half of it is and why it was kept. You're afraid to throw anything away because what if it was important? What if it was valuable? What if someone else in the family wanted it? So the boxes just sit there, multiplying while you avoid dealing with it.
That's what we hear all the time. I can't throw it away. I don't know what it is. I feel so guilty. And eventually, what happens? Someone makes a guilt fueled donation run at 2 a.m., or the boxes get passed to the next generation who has even less context about what anything is or why it mattered.
Before we talk about the skim versus deep dive approaches, we need to make an important distinction. Not everything sentimental is a legacy item. Some things are comfort items. They make you happy. They bring you joy. They're meaningful to you. And that's completely valid. But they're not things that will matter to the next generation.
Here's the brutal truth, and we're saying this with love. That ceramic frog collection, probably not a legacy item. Your wedding dress? Maybe. Those 46 coffee mugs from vacation spots? They make you smile, but your kids won't understand their significance. The one mug your dad drank from every morning for 30 years? That tells a story.
The question is simple. If you couldn't tell them the story, would they keep it? If the answer is no, and that's okay, then it's a comfort item for you, not a legacy item for them. And you're allowed to keep both categories. Just label them mentally so you can plan accordingly.
Another example, every piece of your children's artwork from kindergarten, that's comfort for you. The one portrait they made of you that captured something special, That's legacy. You don't have to keep all 200 pieces to honor your child's creativity. You can keep the 5 that really matter and let the rest go.
Good. So let's talk about the skim approach first. This is for when you need to make some space quickly, or when you're just not emotionally ready for the deep work yet. The skim is about removing the obvious non sentimental items that have gotten mixed in with the actual treasures.
Here's how it works: set your timer for 12 minutes, hashtag decluttering dozen, pull out one box of sentimental items. Go through it quickly and pull out anything that falls into these categories: duplicates you don't need, items that are broken beyond repair, things that aren't actually sentimental but just got stored with sentimental items, and obvious trash or papers that have no meaning.
For example, you might find your mother's collection of greeting cards. You don't need to keep every birthday card she ever received, but the one from your father on their 50th anniversary, that's a keeper. You might find your child's school papers. You don't need every spelling test, but the essay they wrote about you, keep that one.
The skim isn't about making hard decisions, it's about removing the easy no's so you can see what you're actually working with. It's about creating some breathing room so the task feels less overwhelming. And it's about building your decluttering muscles with lower stakes decisions before you tackle the harder stuff.
When you skim, you're not asking, does this spark joy or do I love this? You're asking, is this actually or did it just end up in this box? That's a much easier question to answer, and it can reduce your sentimental piles by a surprising amount.
Now, the deep dive is different. This is for when you're ready to really think about legacy, when you're ready to be intentional about what you pass down and how you pass it down. The deep dive isn't about just decluttering, it's about curating your legacy like a museum curator chooses the best pieces.
Here's what we want you to understand: quality over quantity means 5 meaningful items beat 50 mystery boxes every time. You're not getting rid of memories. You're honoring them by being selective about what you keep and how you keep it.
The deep dive uses what we call the storytelling framework. For each item you're considering keeping as a legacy piece, ask yourself 5 questions. Who owned it? When did they use it? Why did it matter? How did you get it? And what do you wish your family knew about this item or this person?
So let me give you an example. Um, this watch belonged to my father. He wore it every day for 40 years. It was a gift from his company on his 5th anniversary with them. And then he wore it every day for 40 more years. He gave it to me the day I graduated college. I hope you know how hard he worked to give us a better life. That's 30 seconds. 30 seconds preserves a lifetime.
If you can't answer those questions, if you don't know who owned it, when they used it, or why it mattered, then it's probably not a legacy item unless you add a new story to it. It might have been important to someone and it might be important to you, but without some sort of a story, it's just a thing. And things without stories don't create legacy.
So, so once you've decided something is a legacy item, you need to document your story, because here's the problem. You know the story, but your daughter has no clue. Your grandson has even less clue. And when you're gone, the story dies with you unless you write it down.
Write the story down on a simple physical tag or index card that travels with the item. No apps, no digital files that get lost, just a simple physical connection between the object and its story. We created keepsake notes and used them in our Tea and Treasures workshop and Clearing Your Clutter course, and they're absolute game changers.
So here's what you write on a keepsake note: item name, what is it? Owner, who did it belong to? Story, 1 to 3 sentences about its significance. The intended recipient, who should receive this, and your name and date. That's it. 3 minutes of writing creates forever of meaning.
For example, silver pocket watch, owned by my father, Robert. Dad carried this every day of his 45-year career at the mill after he got it. He called it his good luck charm. Never late once. For Michael, love mom, December 2025. Done. You just created legacy.
Now, you don't need to do this for everything you own. You need them for the items you intend to pass down as legacy pieces. The deep dive approach helps you identify which items those are, and the keepsake notes ensure that the stories travel with them.
And here's something that nobody tells you, and it's really important. Your kids don't want the same stuff you do. They just don't. And that's okay. One daughter might want all the photo albums, the other might want literally nothing sentimental. And that doesn't mean she loved you less.
Your son might treasure dad's toolbox, but donate the fancy china. That's expensive furniture, that expensive furniture that you think is valuable. Most young people are furnishing with IKEA and calling it a day. They don't have room for your dining room set and they don't want to feel guilty about it.
So stop projecting what you think they should want and start asking what they actually want. Have the conversation. Sit down with your kids and ask, what would you actually want when I'm gone? You might be surprised by the answers.
You might discover your daughter cherishes that random mixing bowl because she remembers you using it to make cookies every Christmas. Or you'll find out nobody wants the good dishes and you can let them go guilt free. The conversation is a gift to them, and you're removing the future burden and guilt.
And here's our favorite tip from Tea and Treasures. Why are you waiting to pass things down? Seriously, why? You can see their faces light up. You can answer questions. You can tell the stories in person. You get the thank you hugs now while you're here to receive them.
Your kids don't have to fight over who gets what. There's no estate drama. You get to downsize joyfully instead of your kids doing it sadly after you're gone. And you get to be part of the legacy you're creating instead of just leaving it behind.
Make it special. Don't just randomly hand things over. Christmas morning. This ornament was from my first Christmas tree in 1955. Graduation gift. Here's the watch I wore when I graduated. Maybe create a legacy day tradition, which would be an annual family gathering where stories and items get passed down with intention.
Or keep it simple. Random Tuesday, just because. I thought of you when I saw this and I want you to have it now. The point is, living legacy means you're part of the story. You're not just a name on a box. You're a person they remember, hugging them as you hand them something precious.
Now, we're not going to pretend this work is easy. It's not. Sentimental decluttering is some of the hardest emotional work you'll do. It brings up grief, guilt, complicated family dynamics, memories you've been avoiding. That's why so many people have boxes they haven't opened in years.
And here's the truth, you might not be ready to do this work alone. You might need support, guidance, someone to help you sort through not just the physical items, but the emotions attached to them. You might need someone to give you permission to let things go and help you figure out what's truly worth keeping.
That's exactly the kind of work we do with people, not just telling you what to keep or toss, but helping you understand your own relationship with your sentimental items, helping you have the conversations with your family members, helping you create a legacy plan that actually works for your life and your family.
If you're sitting there right now thinking, I have boxes I haven't touched in years and I don't even know where to start, or I want to handle this well, but I'm completely overwhelmed, we'd love to talk with you. We offer one on one assessment calls where we can talk about your specific situation and how we can help.
We'll help you figure out whether you need a skim approach or a deep dive approach. We'll talk about your family dynamics, your timeline, your goals, and we'll create a plan that feels doable instead of overwhelming. because this work matters too much to just keep avoiding it.
All right, declutterers, here's what we want you to take away from today. First, understand the difference between comfort items and legacy items. Both are valid, but only one needs to be passed down. Second, if you're not ready for deep dive work, start with a skim. Remove the obvious non-sentimental items and create some breathing room.
Third, when you're ready for the deep dive, use the storytelling framework. Who, when, why, how, and what do you wish they knew? If you can't answer those questions, it's probably not a legacy item. Fourth, document the stories with keepsake notes so they travel with the item. And fifth, start gifting now. Don't wait until you're gone to pass down your legacy.
Want help with this work? If you want to set up an assessment call with us to talk about your specific situation, head to our website at abcdeclutter.com and schedule a call. We'd love to help you turn your sentimental clutter into intentional legacy.
Because here's the final truth. Those boxes in your attic aren't legacy. They're homework for your kids. Legacy happens when you share with love, document with care, and gift with intention. One person's trash is another person's treasure, but only if you give them the treasure map.
That map, it's the story, and you're the only one who can draw it.
So until next time, keep it simple.
Keep it intentional. And
as
as
always, keep decluttering.
Keep decluttering. We're getting there, Janis. We're going to say it together at some point.